It's Mercy. Music by Mercy again. Heat Nation, we the culture. Yo, E, I need you to call timeout. Need Brady to set the floor plan. Tropical blanket, open for the shot. Yo, Greg, set the pick. Still 5 on the floor, still ride for my dog. Still battle on the court, still survive in the war. Keep your eye on the ball, or get burned from the keep this mic off the wall without turning the cheek. From night to day, no sleepy paths or allowed to morning. The nut is sleeping us, never catch us snoring. Live from Miami, report in the heat with 5 Reasons Sports from the courts to the streets. Dang, Wake County, Heat Nation, we still proudly.
Welcome to 5 on the Floor, a daily insider show on the Miami Heat and the NBA, featuring Ethan Skolnick, Greg Sylvander, Alex Toledo, Brady Hawk, and others from the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Also, make sure to subscribe to Off the Floor for the most heat anywhere.
Welcome back to another live edition of 5 on the Floor. I'm your host, Greg Sylvander. Tonight's floor plan with me, Digital Adel. We come to you right after the Miami Heat's 115-113 victory over the Knicks. Happy to see them avenge the loss up in New York. They get one in a close game that had ups and downs, and we'll get into all of that. But ultimately, a good thing for Miami to come protect their home court and get a win against the team that beat them, not so long ago. What was that, Friday? So we're going to dive into the specifics of the matchup, all the player of the game. We'll use our segments to hit on all that. But Adele, your thoughts on the home and home with New York generally, and how the Heat responded tonight after the loss up in New York.
Yeah, I absolutely just love the effort and ferocity that they came out with tonight. I thought that Kelel Ware specifically, which we're going to talk about more later, he set the tone for Miami. I like how they competed and they battled. They had a huge disparity with points in the paint for most of the game, almost 20 or 30 point difference. But in that second half, particularly the third quarter with Drew Smith getting into the paint and then Davion Mitchell getting into the act, they really started attacking the paint in the second half. They really closed down that disparity for points in the paint. Like I said, it was like 30-point difference for most of the game. By the end of the game, 64 points in the paint for New York, 56 points in the paint for Miami. And they really, really shared the ball tonight, 29 assists. You had contributions up and down the roster in facilitating. Multiple guys with 4 assists, for the Miami Heat. You had Pelle Larson with 4. Andrew Wiggins had 4. Norm Powell, Davion Mitchell had 5. Jaime Jaquez Jr., he had 4. Everybody was contributing and sharing the ball. And that's the thing you got to love about the style of offense.
Another thing that I think Heat fans are all relatively sensitive about watching for is the rebounding game over game, because that's been specifically defensive rebounding has been a challenge for Miami at times. And the last 5 without Bam, it's been really bad. I know that's been noted around social media. And tonight, the rebounding battle was 49-40 in favor of New York. So Miami wins despite losing the rebounding battle overall. Offensive rebounds 12-7 in New York's favor. So a couple of the trends that we've seen plague this team to start the season, we can't really say that those things have gone away, but the good part is that they're finding ways to get victories despite that flaw so far, and we'll see how they address that going forward. I strategically didn't mention this at the top because I was waiting for more of y'all to trickle in, much like the Kaseya Center. I know that our fan base sometimes takes a little bit to get to their seats, but want to shout out Off the Floor. That's our Discord server. It's $2.99, and the link is in the description of this episode. You're going to be able to have access to the most Heat anywhere. We're talking Heat basketball, not 24/7. It is like basically every channel is mapped out where you can talk draft, you can talk transactions, you can just talk general Miami Heat stuff, but it's all there for you. You can consolidate all your Miami Heat social media activity in one place. Check it out, Off the Floor, for the most heat anywhere. Link is in the description of this episode. Y'all know I had to get that shameless plug in there. We're going to go to the first segment and talk about Kelel Ware.
And now it's time for the A-Aggressive Insurance Player of the Night, sponsored by our friend Lynette. You can find her at insurancebylynette.com. That's with 2 N's and 2 T's, insurancebylynette.com. If you need car insurance, renter's insurance, homeowner's insurance, or any other type of insurance, she's the person to go to. Based in Lauderhill, she services the entire Tri-County area here in South Florida, and she will make sure to get you the best deal. She'll probably talk to you about the heat while you're at it. Reach out to her, insurancebylynette.com. And now, the player of the game.
So as you said, everyone was sharing the ball. That's been a common theme with this group. Norm Powell still was able to find his way to the top of the scoring chart. He seems to do that just intuitively. He's going to figure out a way, right, Adel? But
Yep.
Tonight was Kelel Ware's night, and it started in the first half. He was absolutely there. Despite what everyone has kind of labeled him with the motor stuff, he was an energizer bunny out there early. Played really well. Obviously, there were ups and downs, but then closed really well. What were your thoughts on his game tonight? Because I feel like this might be, and we talked a little bit about it on Playback and pre-show, this might be the most complete Kelel Ware game we've seen. Do you think that that's too outlandish to go there?
Not at all. To me, this is his most complete game of the season by far. Not just the efficiency in the paint. He shot 77.8% from the field. He made his only 3. He had 14 rebounds, keeping Big Cat off the board, keeping Mitchell Robinson off the board. But everybody wants to point to defensive rebounds. He had 14 total rebounds, 8 of those defensive. But when you want to measure a big man's activity, show me what he does on the offensive glass. And he had 6 offensive rebounds for Miami tonight. Only 1 other offensive rebound on the entire team, and that came from Drew Smith, the most unlikely of sources for offensive rebounds. And I just thought he played a fantastic game. He made the right reads. He didn't try to do too much. Most of the shots he took was going towards the rim. He wasn't fading away. Even the 3-point shot was in rhythm within the flow of the offense.
Agree.
But my big thing is how hard he played, the passion he showed. Whenever he got that offensive rebound, dunked right on Cat, and then gave a roar. Love to see that stuff, man. If he can stack days like that, man, that's the stuff the coaching staff is looking for. That's what the fans are looking for. They're looking for him to put in that passion, that energy, night in and night out. And that leads into something else that we wanted to talk about, because it's not just Ware is responsible for the rebounding, right? The guards got to rebound as well.
True.
Guards got to get involved. The wings got to get involved. And I think that's another issue that we have to talk about with this Miami Heat team.
Drew Smith is who I want to talk about next, and we're going to go kind of all over the map here, but I thought he really kind of saved them late in I think it was in the third quarter. Yes. Shout out to Ben Tovio on Playback. He would know exactly what moment it was, but I can't play back exactly where that was, but I think it was the end of the third where he had a really productive stretch. He's looked really good. To your point about the rebounding, what did he get? He got 3 rebounds. Fontecchio got 4 off the bench. So the other guy, Pele Larson, he continues to be really good as a starter. I mean, we can't ignore the fact that he's been basically a double-digit scorer as a starter. He got 13 again tonight, 4 of 9 from the field, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. So it was good to see that at least there was increased activity, because you can tell that this group, you could tell that they're talking about rebounding as a group.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's a big time focus for them. They still didn't win the total rebounding margin here, but they got it done in other ways. We're going to use the next segment to talk about how they are offsetting the rebounding issues and kind of maybe the other areas of the game that they're getting through. But let's hit up the mobile C-Arm and staffing segment for that one.
And now it's time for the X-Ray of the Play of the Day, brought to us by our friends over at Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services. Nelson and his team will bring the X-ray equipment and the staffing to you if you work in a hospital or a medical office. Get a consultation today at c-armandstaffing.com or give them a call at 561-891-9620. Their fleet of trucks at your service. Again, it's Mobile C-Arm and Staffing Services, 561-891-9620. And now, the X-Ray of the Play of the Day.
So the rebounding issues aren't going away. I think that when Bam gets back, it's going to help a ton. But I think that there is likely going to need, I mean, I know that the numbers suggest that they're right up at the top of the league. And I think defensive rebounding percentage specifically when it comes to having Bam in the lineup.
Right.
But I still think that they may be short another guy who can really crash the boards. But tonight,
For sure.
you saw that it was a more concerted effort to get on the glass. It wasn't the type of game where the other team was out rebounding them by 20. It was still 9, but it wasn't 20. And that fans may roll their eyes, but you have to look at these incremental wins as they try to figure out ways to do this. The other thing is the officiating was not good tonight.
My goodness.
New York shot 24 free throws to Miami's 13. So the fact that they got out rebounded and shot way less free throws and still won this game. And, I was going to queue up this segment to talk about the disparity in three-point shooting, but New York, in an effort to try to win this game, attempted so many in the fourth quarter that they basically evened that out. And Miami committed less turnovers. They forced 15 turnovers for New York. So this is really a thing where they are hanging their hat on winning around the margins, playing good defense, the offense remaining in as much of that faster pace as they can get to in any game. And tonight they got to 115, which is insane to say that could be below their average night scoring. But what do you think is the biggest influence on a night when you don't win the rebounding battle? You get outshot from the line the way that they did. How do you squeak out victories like this? And how are the Heat doing it? I won't say consistently because there's still consistency to be gained at 8-6.
Right.
But at least they're above 500. Interested your thoughts on what they're doing despite the rebounding issues.
Yeah, they're being really efficient. And the one thing about this offense is that it gets you paint touches. Like in the first half, the pace really slowed down, and you could see they were making a concerted effort to rebound. And that's because in this offense, the guards want to get out and go. Instead of getting out and go, they kind of pull back a little bit. And then in that second half, like the end of that third quarter, Spo was really pushing the tempo. Like you could see him visibly on the sidelines being like, get up the floor, let's go, let's go, let's go. That's when Drew went on his run in the fourth quarter. Davion had left-handed layup after left-handed layup and a little floater at the rim. It's all the paint touches, because when you can collapse the paint, not only do you get high percentage shots, but then you get open looks at the three-point line. The Miami Heat shot 40% from three tonight. They also shot 44% from the field. So it's one of those things where even though you're losing the rebounding battle, you're getting turnovers, which is leading to fast break points. The Miami Heat had 19 of those. The rebounding, they had 21 second chance points tonight, out rebounding Miami in second chance points, 15-21. So they're doing it in a variety of ways, but they're being efficient with how they're doing it. Even though they didn't get the foul calls, they were still getting into the lane, collapsing the defense, and getting quality looks.
The paint touches, that's what this is all about. And I think that it signals that no matter who's playing, they have a really clearly defined strategy and they're not going to deviate from it. And so it interests me when Tyler's back in the fold and Bam is back in the fold, how they reintegrate those guys. I think Bam is obviously an easier conceptual process to get him back in the mix, right? But Tyler, he's not a ball stopper at all. It's more of that. I think how much more high octane can this offense potentially get with a guy like Tyler and some of what he can do when he's trailing, and hitting threes and stuff like that. Norm getting really tonight was a little rough here and there, but overall he's been really consistent in being able to get into the paint, also shooting really well. It's just there's upside here, and I'm glad you mentioned Davion Mitchell. Let's talk about, and just to piss Sean Rochester off, shout out to him, we're going to talk about the point guard position on this Miami Heat basketball team. Drew Smith had 11 and Davion had 18. You do the math, what that brings to the table. 5 assists from Davion, and Drew Smith had 3? So that's 8 assists. You're getting limited amounts of turnovers. It's a pretty remarkable situation where they have 2 guys, not counting their first round draft pick, who is getting seasoned in the G League currently. It went from being such a position where Heat fans were like, what are we going to do here? We have no one in the pipeline in terms of prospects. There really isn't a clearly defined starter. Drew Smith was kind of the only guy Spo trusted, to now it being one of the deepest spots on the roster. Your thoughts on Davion's performance tonight? I thought he was absolutely great. He's becoming one of my favorite players on the team, but interested to hear your thoughts on Drew and Davion.
Yeah, I mean, to get 29 points between your 2 point guards on the roster is phenomenal, especially like you said, when it was a position that everybody was worried about coming into the season. Davion Mitchell, down the stretch of this game, because Deuce McBride was getting into the lane kind of at will, and he was starting to hit some threes. His 3-ball started dropping. What he did at the end of that game, where Deuce couldn't get any airspace to really get a good shot off, I mean, it just goes to show you why they call him off night, man. He's one of those guys that can get in your jersey, can really restrict your airspace and bother a lot of shots. Drew Smith is just solid, man. His hands are quick. He's got really long arms. He was able to generate tons of deflections. He only ended up with 1 steal, but he has the ability to just get his hands on the ball, get a ton of deflections, and he just stays solid. There's nothing flashy about Drew, just solid. But Davion Mitchell, man, as a pit bull point guard, he is exactly that. And to the point where I'm questioning, how do you take him out of the starting lineup, even when Tyler comes back?
I think it's a damn good question. And I know that people are going to say Tyler's an all-star and he's up, trying to get, a pretty hefty extension eventually and already makes a ton of money. So obviously he's going to start, and Norm is starting as well. And you're not going to sit Wiggs. And I feel like Ware and Bam, that's what you're going to probably go with. So Davion's going to be in a really unique role because it makes this team deeper, and he's played so well that you can count on him. So I hope that transition goes well, because to your point, it's difficult to see him in a different role when he's thrived so much. Even guys like Jaquez and Larson, they've been in and out of the starting lineup here or there, but Davion's been a consistent key cog for them. And so seeing him off the bench will be one thing to watch out for as Tyler and Bam get closer. I know everyone wants to see both of those guys for the game against Golden State on Wednesday. I am not promising anything. From what I understand, the team is going to continue to be really, really cautious in getting those guys back on the court. So we'll see how that unfolds. We're going to close with kind of the tougher part of tonight, and that was Andrew Wiggins. It was bad. 3 of 15. Couldn't hit a 3, didn't get to the line, did get 4 rebounds and 4 assists, 32 minutes total. Your thoughts and I don't know. I may have asked Major this on the last show, but I'm going to put you on the spot. Is the development of Larson and Jaquez playing so much better? Does that make Wiggins highly expendable to you? Or do you think if this team really has playoff aspirations, they should stick with the vet?
I think Jaime Jaquez Jr. has proven that he deserves a bigger role, and Pelle Larsson does too. Andrew Wiggins, to me, doesn't fit this offensive identity that they have. He's an ISO mid-post guy, and this team's about getting paint touches, collapsing a defense, draw and kick. And that's not really Wiggins' game. He's okay point of attack defender. He has his good days and bad days. Today was one of his bad days. He doesn't have the athletic pop that he used to. He can still do it here and there, but he's still not going to be that supreme athlete he was when he was drafted. And you have those young guys in Jaime Hawkins Jr. and Bella Larson that are your future, and they're playing well enough that I think you could trade him and get something like another rebounding big.
They need one, especially because Jovic continues to kind of I'm trying to go easy on the kid, but now that he got paid, people are not trying to hear that. And now he's at 14 minutes, 5 points, 2 of 7. So him and Wiggins, if there was anywhere where we were going to look for an opportunity from this game for improvement next game, it's looking at Andrew Wiggins, looking at Niko Jovic to try to continue to find what role works for him. It's tough to watch because Simone Fontecchio comes in and he has such a clear conscience and he's so clear on what he's supposed to be doing while he's out there. He just grabs it and shoots it. And to see Jovic is to watch someone on the polar opposite end of that thinking process. And it's just tough to watch Niko go through that. Is there anything you think they could do differently from a role perspective or putting him on ball? Do you see anything that could maybe break him out of this funk, or is it going to have to get worse before it gets better, where maybe he's phased out of the rotation for a minute? I know fans are going to gawk at that with the extension, but I'm starting to get a little concerned personally, especially as Bam and Tyler get infused back into the lineup and you got to start to shrink minutes. Like if you're going to pick the guys that are not playing well, Niko's one of those guys. And so that's an interesting thing to watch. Your thoughts on how they kind of revive Jovic after what's been a disappointing stretch these last couple weeks?
Well, it's very difficult for me because you can't put him on ball. And here's the reason why. First of all, if he's starting, you're not taking the ball out of Norm's hands. You're not taking the ball out of Davion Mitchell's hands. When Tyler comes back, you're not taking the ball out of his hands. And then when you go to the bench unit, you're not taking the ball out of Jaime's hands.
True.
So Niko, he isn't good enough ball handling wise to handle the ball ahead of any of those guys. And that's the problem. This offense is built around creating space, and then in your one-on-one matchup, you're winning your one-on-one matchup off the bounce. So being very efficient with your dribble, making a couple of quick moves, getting to the basket. He doesn't really have a ball handling ability like that. He's better in the open court, get the ball off the glass and go. But the problem is he doesn't rebound very well. So at 6'10", what are you doing on the court?
Yeah.
What are you bringing to the table?
For a team that desperately needs rebounding, if one of the guys who's 6'10", 6'11", whatever we're quoting him at, he's not going to be a guy excelling at that. I know Tyler rebounds better than his position and height would indicate. And Bam obviously fixes a lot just from an infrastructure perspective, but you need more from guys like him. I think, honestly, they probably could ask Jaquez to do even more, frankly.
Exactly.
Like in terms of like, maybe it's a couple less shots to get a few more rebounds if we're talking about what the team really needs when Tyler and Bam are back. I understand now they're having to just grit out wins any way that they can. And had you told me that they would be 14 games into this season, Adel, they would have no Tyler and no Bam playing, and they would have entered a game against the Knicks, who I kind of had pegged as a team that could come out of the East this year just because of how weird the East is.
Right.
The Heat were a 2.5-point favorite heading into tonight. I think that is perspective for Heat fans to recognize that they appear to have a pretty damn solid team, and we haven't even seen it with their two best players out there. So if we leave you with nothing else heading into the game against Golden State, where Jimmy will be back in town, I think it's hoping maybe you see one of those guys back on the court, but I am not so confident in it. So I think it's going to be a situation where you're watching the same group go up against Jimmy Butler, and I'm interested to see Jaime Jaquez versus Jimmy Butler. That could be fun. Your final thoughts on a look ahead to Golden State as we close?
Yeah, man, it's going to be a tough challenge. If Steph Curry's out there anytime he's on the floor, chasing him around. Jimmy Butler coming back, facing Miami if he plays. Him versus Jaime, like you said, that's a very intriguing matchup. Hopefully, I always look forward to if Bam was back. I know he doubtfully is going to be back, but him versus Draymond would be pretty cool. So that'll be Ware versus Draymond if Bam isn't playing. So how does Ware respond to that type of physicality, even though he's got the height advantage, will be interesting. Is he going to bring his A game like he did tonight? Hopefully he does. And then also Davion Mitchell, like I said, chasing Steph around. That's going to be a matchup to watch. And that's a 5-guy type of deal. Like Davion's not going to be able to do that by himself. It's going to take all 5 guys. But it's going to be a fun game. High explosive offense versus high explosive offense.
Yeah, I'm excited for that one. It would be awesome if one of the 2 guys was back for it. Also, you're right about Draymond. He's going to put both of his fists directly Ware's chest, similar to what he did to Wemby the other night. And I hope Ware can channel his inner Wemby and go over the top and dunk on Draymond the way that Wemby did. But we shall see. Either way, the arena had way too many Knicks fans tonight, and I'm happy to say that they're all walking out of the stadium losers tonight. Have a good night. We will have you covered for Golden State the rest of this week. Peace out. For Adel, myself, all of the of our sponsors, we thank you for watching. And the Heat get another victory, 115-113, the final score down there in Miami. Peace out.